What if the man isn't slipping? What if he's auditioning? Think about it for a second. A wide receiver fresh off a release, sitting on the wrong side of 32, watching his own value get appraised by every team in the league on the same week. His very public relationship starts hemorrhaging on Instagram. That's not coincidence energy. That's resume energy. And the IG model in the background frame? She might be the least important variable in the equation. Yeah, I said it. Now follow me. If you're new here, you already know the move. Tap that like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, because what's about to get unpacked is the read the timeline isn't ready to print yet. Cool. Let's get in. Stefon Diggs, the 10-year NFL wideout most recently of the New England Patriots, and Belcalis Almanzar, the Bronx Hurricane the world calls Cardi B, have spent the last 48 hours in a full subliminal war across Instagram, comments, burner accounts, and one very loud "I'm outside" announcement. The flashpoint, a model named Gia, photos that allegedly came from inside Diggs's Maryland home, and a Miami vacation claimed the internet dismantled in roughly 45 minutes. Now Cardi's bestie has weighed in. The burner account decoders are working overtime, and the People magazine reconciliation piece from the spring is starting to look like a press release with a shelf life. Now watch where this actually goes. Let the principal speak. No interpretation, just the words on the record. According to footage that ricocheted across the For You page within hours, Cardi's caption and string combo landed on a single phrase repeated like a dare. I'm outside right now. Get my makeup done right now. The streets is calling me. Outside. Twice. With emphasis. A small respect for the brevity. Receipts pulled from Stefon's alleged burner account. And alleged is doing some lifting here, because the internet decided it was his and ran with it read. Once you've been out of my sight too long, I'm cool. Ain't no telling what you've been doing. That one's the tell. We'll come back to it. The same account in a separate post, reportedly. If I got to keep saying we're something cute, maybe we're not compatible. Okay, from a Cardi-adjacent voice in the comments, a friend with enough proximity to be assumed spokesman, allegedly writing for Cardi. Hurt people. They think they'll get you back by hurting you, but instead just push you further away. Followed by, whole time she gone. That second one is the punchline. The first one is the diagnosis. And from earlier this year, in the framing people used when the couple was still in soft launch mode, Stefon Diggs and Cardi B celebrated Mother's Day together at his Diggs Deep Foundation event in Washington, D.C. Public, affectionate, charity-coded, the polar opposite of where we are this week. 5 voices, 5 different rooms, 1 house. Now let's connect the wiring. Here's the part the gossip lane is missing because it's not looking at the sports lane. Diggs signed a 3-year, $63.5 million contract with the Patriots in March 2025. Roughly 1 year later, March 12, 2026, New England released him, clearing $16.8 million off their cap in the process. That's the entire context for everything happening in the comments right now. Forget the bedroom. Look at the locker room. He hits free agency in his early 30s, coming off a release, with multiple women allegedly carrying his name into headlines, with paternity rumors trailing him like a comet tail, and ESPN's best fit pieces are openly speculating he ends up on a 1-year, salary cap-friendly deal somewhere. That's the leverage map. That's the real pressure system. The Super Bowl-era breakup rumors, those didn't appear from nowhere. The LA Times ran with reconciliation skepticism back in February. Then May 9th happened, the Diggs Deep Foundation Mother's Day event, and suddenly People is publishing reconciliation copy on schedule, right when his agent's looking for a soft tissue character rehab before the FA market opens. Actually, wait, back this up. That's the part to camp on. The PR calendar and the contract calendar are running in parallel. Reconciliation in May. Release in March. Now a model in the house this week. Each beat lines up with a leverage shift in his career, not a romantic arc. That's not love. That's spreadsheet behavior. Cardi, for her part, is fresh out of the Offset divorce drama she's been navigating publicly since September 2024. She filed in Fulton County, Georgia, after 3 years of marriage and 3 children together, and the divorce was still moving through court well into 2025, which means By the time the Diggs era ramped up, she was a woman who had just finished publicly extricating herself from one chaotic situation and walked directly into another one carrying its own paternity rumors and harem allegations. Pattern. Not coincidence. Pattern. Different word, different texture, same math. I want to zoom into 3 specific fragments. Not the whole posts. Just the splinters. First splinter, the foliage. The model Gia posted photos claiming Miami. The internet detectives, shout out to the meticulous ones, pulled side-by-side comparisons of the background plant life and matched it to footage Diggs himself had previously posted from his Maryland property. The shrubs don't lie. Palm trees would be in frame in Miami. They're not. What's in frame are East Coast hedgerows that match the foliage in his prior NFL prep videos from the same backyard. The receipt isn't the woman. The receipt is the bush. That's also why this is going to get worse before it gets better. Once digital sleuths solve a location once, the bar lowers permanently. Every future girl's trip post from anyone in his orbit gets stress tested against the same backyard now. Second splinter, the burner. Once you've been out of my sight too long, I'm cool. Read that twice. The grammar is doing something. It's not if. It's once. That's surveillance language dressed up as nonchalance. A man flipping the script so that his partner's autonomy becomes the cause of his coldness, rather than his own actions being the cause of hers. Behavioral Forensics 101. When somebody preemptively justifies a posture they're about to take, the posture is the plan, not the reaction. That line wasn't written this week. That line was prepared. And then the kicker, the same account drops. If I got to keep saying we're something cute, maybe we're not compatible. Translation. The public will be told the breakup was about aesthetics. The public will not be told it was about 3 other phones in the house. Got it. Third splinter, the single man pivot. When Cardi's camp essentially declared him a single man on the loose, free to do what he likes. That's not a passive observation. That's a legal posture. Because the second she frames him as unattached, she's also closing the door on a different kind of liability. Any future, she knew and stayed, narrative that tabloids love to weaponize against women in her position. It's a small move. It looks like an outburst. It functions like a memo. 3 splinters, 1 shape. None of this is improvised. Watch how 3 outlets are spinning the exact same 48 hours. The sports press is treating it like soft tissue noise. ESPN's Best Fits piece this week barely glances at the personal stuff and instead frames Diggs as a Rams or Ravens reclamation project, a free agent whose value is determined by route running, not relationships. That's the lens that benefits him. Quiet on the gossip, loud on the upside. Capital XDRA and the celebrity news lane took the cheating allegations and the baby mama narrative head-on, framing the relationship as a slow-motion collapse stretching back to Super Bowl week. That lens isn't covering football. It's covering consequences. Same man. 2 different careers depending on which outlet you read. And then there's the Billboard relationship timeline lane. The one that quietly logs each public reunion, each photo op, each foundation event as historical record. That lens is the most damning, actually, because timelines don't editorialize. They just list. And once you see every reunion lined up against every contract milestone, the pattern stops being deniable. Now Steelman the counter-read for a beat, because it deserves a fair hearing. Maybe he's just a guy in his 30s who isn't built for a high-visibility relationship with a global star, and he's botching the exit poorly. Maybe the model in the house is a fling, the burner is impulse posting, and there's no 5-dimensional chess going on. Just a man who keeps making the same mess, and a woman who keeps choosing to stay until she doesn't. That read is reasonable. It's also lazy, because it ignores the splinter. The burner account line wasn't reactive, it was posed. The Mother's Day reunion landed exactly when his market value needed laundering. The model in Miami wasn't an accident. It was a publicly trackable test of whether his audience would catch the lie. And they did fast. None of that is a man fumbling. That's a man auditioning for plausible deniability. Now the part nobody wants to print. The mainstream read says this is a couple combusting publicly because one person cheated and the other got tired. Tidy. Familiar. Sells. Here's the version that costs more to publish. The man isn't trying to keep the relationship. He's trying to survive the off-season. Stefon Diggs is in the most precarious 6 months of his football career. Released from a $63.5 million deal 1 year in. Sitting in a free agent class, where his name is being floated for cap-friendly 1-year deals at age 32. The path back to a multi-year contract requires two things: production, which he can still arguably deliver, and a clean enough media profile that a front office can sell him to a fan base without the optics team breaking out into hives. A high visibility, high drama relationship with the most viral woman in American pop music is not that clean profile. This is the part the gossip lane keeps missing. The relationship was an asset while it was useful for image laundering during the Mother's Day window, when he was visibly fundraising in the DMV through the Diggs Deep Foundation, and the optics played as family man, philanthropist, comeback story. The relationship became a liability the moment New England cut him, and his next contract started, depending on a GM convincing his owner that Diggs is a locker room neutral. So watch the choreography. Public reconciliation, then public sabotage. A model in Miami. A burner account dripping just enough chaos to make a tabloid headline, but not enough to draw a domestic incident report. A wardrobe critique on the way out. So the breakup story is about her clothes and not his receipts. And here's the dig the sports desks won't run. He's not breaking up with Cardi. He's outsourcing his own breakup to her, counting on her bestie, her cousin, her fans, her own famously volatile public posture to do the actual rupture work. So when it ends, the headline is Cardi B walks away, not free agent dropped by a global star mid-cap negotiation. She gets to look strong. He gets to look single. The front offices get to sign the discounted version. That's not chaos. That's a soft launch with a release date. The opposition jabs almost right themselves. The wardrobe comment from a man who's been releasing teams more frequently than he's been releasing apologies, bold. The monkey see monkey do energy from a burner that's worse at hiding than the foliage was. The we used to talk. I don't know that'd be denial from a house that, allegedly, still has her in it. A man whose romantic life keeps requiring acronyms, BMs, BBLs, DMV, yet whose football future requires a clean media kit. The math doesn't math, baby. It never did. And the closing dig, the quiet one. The harem isn't a flex. It's a hedge. The path most likely to land, by the time training camp opens. Expect a 1-year prove-it deal from a contender desperate enough at receiver to absorb the noise. Rams, Ravens, somebody in that tier. The relationship will be amicably over by then in official statements. He'll do a single sit-down interview where he says he's focused on football and family. In that order. Cardi will release a song about it within 60 days. That streams 9 figures. The specific failure on his side. Whichever team signs him will quietly regret the off-field chatter by week 6, and his snap counts will reflect it. Why she wins anyway. The music doesn't require a cosign. The path that flips the table. Watch how fast the conversation shifts the second Cardi drops a project tied to this era. Once the diss isn't subtweets, but a verse, the headlines stop being about who cheated and start being about who capitalized. She converts the public mess into chart fuel, the way she's done in every previous breakup cycle, and the cultural memory of this whole thing becomes hers to write.